Hello, dear audience. If you are intelligent, so watch full video. I know that everyone wants to be great until it's time to do what greatness actually requires. Everyone wants the result, but few are willing to master the routine. It's not because they're weak. It's not because they're lazy. It's because they haven't realized one simple truth. Discipline is the real superpower. Not the kind of discipline that feels like punishment. Not the harsh, rigid version that people dread, but the discipline that frees you from chaos. The discipline that replaces confusion with clarity. The kind of self-discipline that creates peace of mind. Because you know you're not controlled by moods, distractions, or circumstances. That is power. That is freedom. The world has taught us to chase motivation. Get hyped. Get pumped. Watch a video. Feel fired up for a day. But motivation is a spark, not a fire. It comes and goes. And when it leaves, most people stop. They wait until they feel inspired again. But the ones who truly rise, the ones who actually change their lives, they don't wait to feel like it. They've trained themselves to do it anyway, because they understand that consistency beats intensity every time. Anyone can show up once. Anyone can be amazing on Monday. But can you still show up on Thursday when it's raining? When you're tired, when no one's watching, when the excitement is gone, and it's just you and your decision? That's where success is born. That's where self-respect is built. That's where transformation begins. Most people overestimate what they can do in a day and underestimate what they can do in a year. They sprint, burn out, quit, repeat. But life isn't a sprint. It's a marathon built on steady, aligned actions. When you become the kind of person who doesn't break promises to yourself, no matter how small, everything changes. Because discipline isn't about doing hard things just to prove something. It's about proving to yourself that your vision matters, that your word means something, that you are not just talk, you are action. Every time you follow through, you build trust with yourself. And when that trust is high, confidence grows. And when confidence grows, you stop negotiating with fear. You stop asking for permission. You start living in alignment with who you're here to be. And here's the truth. The world doesn't reward your potential. It rewards your consistency. You can have all the talent, all the intelligence, all the passion, but if you're not showing up daily, relentlessly, repeatedly, you'll keep wondering why things aren't changing. Self-discipline isn't about perfection. It's about progress. It's about showing up even when it's boring, even when you're not applauded, even when it feels like it's not working. Because deep down, you know that consistency compounds. And one day the results will come, not because of one massive action, but because of 1,000 silent wins that no one saw. This is where the gap closes between who you are and who you're capable of becoming. It's easy to be disciplined when it's convenient, but the real shift happens when you realize that your growth lives in those moments when it's not. When your mind says no, but your purpose says yes. When your excuses scream louder, but your standards win. If you're tired of starting over, stop quitting. If you're tired of feeling stuck, stop waiting for the right mood. If you're tired of hoping for change, create it one disciplined step at a time. Discipline is not punishment. It is a declaration that you're not controlled by emotion, distraction, or fear. It's a promise to your future, a commitment to your potential. And when you live that way not once in a while but every day, you will separate yourself from the masses. Not by shouting louder but by showing up longer. Not by doing more in one day, but by doing the right thing every day. Because when you choose self-discipline and consistency, you don't just change your schedule, you change your identity. Most people think of discipline as something that restricts them, a burden, a rigid structure that takes away freedom and spontaneity. They associate it with limitation, with something that boxes them in or weighs them down. But that mindset couldn't be further from the truth. Real discipline, the kind that transforms lives, is not about restriction. It's about liberation. Because discipline is not the enemy of freedom. Discipline is the gateway to freedom. We live in a world that praises freedom, the ability to do what you want, when you want, however you want. But the mistake is thinking that freedom means avoiding structure, avoiding rules, avoiding responsibility. That kind of freedom eventually turns into chaos. Because without self-control, you lose direction. Without boundaries, your potential is scattered. Without standards, your life becomes a reaction to everything around you, instead of a creation of what's inside you. True freedom, the kind that creates peace, power, and progress, only comes when you have the strength to do what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like doing it. That's discipline. Discipline is what allows you to say no to the short term in favor of the long term. It's what builds the habits that lead to mastery. It's what gives you the ability to take charge of your emotions, your time, your actions, and ultimately your destiny. There's a reason why people who master discipline rise above the rest. It's because they're not slaves to comfort. They don't need to be pushed. They don't depend on moods or motivation. They are led by vision, by standards, by a deeper commitment to who they want to become. That's the shift most people never make. They keep chasing ease, chasing comfort, chasing shortcuts. But all the growth, all the transformation, all the excellence you could ever want, it lives on the other side of discipline. Because discipline forces you to show up when it's hard. It forces you to confront your excuses. It forces you to stop negotiating with your limitations. People who lack discipline are always at the mercy of their emotions. They feel tired, so they stop. They feel bored, so they scroll. They feel overwhelmed, so they quit. But emotion is not a compass. It's a distraction, unless it's mastered. And the only way to rise above it is to train yourself through action, again and again, until doing the hard thing becomes second nature. There is a quiet strength in discipline. It doesn't need attention. It doesn't look flashy. But it builds something far more valuable than temporary applause. It builds character. And character creates consistency. And consistency creates results. The strongest people in the world aren't the ones who yell the loudest or try to impress others. They're the ones who keep their word. To others. To themselves. Especially when no one is watching. One of the most powerful truths ever spoken came from Jocko Willink, a man who has lived a life of intense discipline. He said discipline equals freedom. It's not just a phrase, it's a lifestyle. Because when you are disciplined, you are no longer owned by your distractions. You are no longer reactive. You are no longer chained to old habits. You are in control. You are free. That kind of freedom means waking up without regret, going to sleep knowing you gave everything, walking through life with clarity, because your path is defined, your focus is sharp, and your values are in charge, not your impulses. When you live without discipline, every part of life becomes harder. Relationships suffer, energy drops, goals remain dreams, stress increases. You live scattered, pulled in every direction by emotion, appetite, and impulse. But when you start honoring discipline, you begin to shape your days with purpose. You start making decisions from strength instead of weakness. You stop seeking escape and start building momentum. You don't need more motivation. You don't need more time. You need to decide. You need to decide that your future is worth more than your comfort, that your standards are more powerful than your excuses, that your life will not be dictated by how you feel in the moment, but by what you've committed to becoming long term. Because at the end of the day, freedom is not doing whatever you feel like. Freedom is having the strength to do what's right, what matters, and what aligns with your highest self. Discipline is what makes that possible. It is the bridge between who you are and who you want to be. Choose discipline, and you will choose freedom. Success is not built in bursts. It's not created by rare moments of intensity. It's carved, slowly and steadily, by the daily decisions most people overlook. The truth is, it's not what you do once in a while that defines your life. It's what you do every single day. And that's where most people fall short. They go all in for a week, then crash. They get excited, take massive action for a day or two, then vanish into old habits. They don't fail because they don't have potential. They fail because they never learned that consistency is more powerful than intensity. Intensity is loud. It's dramatic. It feels good. It's emotional. It's what drives people to join the gym on January 1st, or write out a huge list of goals in one sitting, or start 10 new habits at once. But the fire fades. Life gets hard. The motivation dips. And when that intensity dies, so does their progress. Because they never built the structure. They never built the discipline. They never built the habits that last beyond the mood that created them. Consistency isn't sexy. It's not flashy. It doesn't give you instant gratification, but it works. It always works. Because when you commit to showing up every day, regardless of how you feel, you begin to stack progress. You begin to build momentum. You begin to trust yourself, and that trust creates results that intensity alone can never produce. The people who win, who succeed in business, health, relationships, mindset, they're not the ones who give 100% once in a while. They're the ones who give 80% every day, without fail. They show up even when it's boring, even when they don't see results right away, even when no one claps, because they know that repetition is the mother of mastery. They know that every rep counts, every day matters, and every small step adds up. Consistency is what turns actions into habits, habits into identity, and identity into destiny. And this is where the game truly changes. When something becomes part of who you are, not just what you do, you no longer need to push yourself. You're pulled by who you've become. That's what consistency does. It rewires your brain. It transforms your standards. It builds a rhythm that success can rely on. People often say they lack motivation, but what they really lack is rhythm. Because when you build a consistent rhythm, when you train your body, your mind, your focus to operate on a schedule that serves you, you don't have to think about doing the work. You just do it. And over time, that routine becomes the foundation of greatness. It doesn't matter how talented you are. If you're not consistent, you'll always fall behind. It doesn't matter how excited you are today. If you don't show up tomorrow, nothing sticks. You don't need to be extreme. You just need to be steady. Because intensity may win sprints, but consistency wins marathons. As Aristotle said, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but a habit. Excellence isn't a moment. It's a pattern. It's a process. It's the product of small decisions made over and over and over again, until greatness becomes second nature. The goal isn't to crush it once. The goal is to make progress daily, to build unshakable habits that keep you on track, even on the tough days. You don't have to make giant leaps, just small steps. Every single day, show up for 5 minutes. Keep the promise. Stay in motion. That's how confidence grows. That's how breakthroughs happen. That's how the results compound over time. And the best part, consistency is a skill. You can train it. You can build it. You don't need to be born with it. You just need to start, and then start again, and again, until it's no longer something you do. It's who you are. The road to success isn't paved in intensity. It's paved in discipline, in structure, in daily repetition. So stop trying to impress the world with one big moment. Start focusing on the small, quiet wins you stack every day, because those are the ones that build the life you truly want. Consistency will take you where intensity never could. Your decisions are not just choices in the moment. They are the building blocks of your identity. Every decision you make, no matter how small, is shaping the person you are becoming. If you want to change your life, you must start by changing your decisions. It's not about making better choices once in a while. It's about committing to a higher standard of decision-making every single day. Because the decisions you make today are the seeds of the future you'll live tomorrow. Too many people think their circumstances define them. They think their past mistakes, their failures, or their current situation are who they are. But the truth is, you are not the sum of your past. You are the result of the decisions you make right now. Every time you decide to take the easy route, to skip the hard work, to avoid discomfort, you reinforce an identity of someone who settles for less. But every time you make the decision to rise above, to challenge yourself, to push through the pain or the fear, you reinforce an identity of someone who doesn't give up. The more you make decisions that align with the highest version of yourself, the more you build that identity within you. The truth is, your identity is not fixed. It's a dynamic, evolving reflection of the choices you make. If you decide to act with integrity today, you are shaping the person who will act with integrity tomorrow. If you decide to show up even when you're tired, even when you're afraid, you are reinforcing an identity of someone who is resilient and relentless. The problem is, most people don't realize how powerful their decisions really are. They get caught up in the moment, and they think that one bad choice doesn't matter. But the reality is, those little choices accumulate. They compound over time, and they shape the person you become. You are the sum of the decisions you make every day. Decisions about how you spend your time, how you treat yourself, how you react to challenges, how you speak to others, and how you respond to life's ups and downs. That's why it's so important to take responsibility for your decisions. Every decision, no matter how small, is an opportunity to reinforce the identity of the person you want to be. If you want to be someone who is strong, resilient, and capable, then you need to decide to act in ways that align with that vision every single day. One of the greatest lessons you can learn is that your identity is created by repetition, not just by one-time decisions. It's the small, consistent choices that turn into habits, and habits are what create the life you want. If you want to be a high performer, you need to start by making high-performance decisions. You don't need to be perfect, but you need to decide, again and again, that you will move in the direction of your vision. In every moment, you are either reinforcing the person you used to be, or the person you are becoming. The more you repeat those decisions that align with your goals and values, the more they become part of who you are. And over time, that consistency of decision-making becomes effortless. It becomes automatic. But it all starts with the decision to be better, to rise higher, to act differently, to think bigger. The key is making those decisions not when it's convenient, but when it's hard. Not when it feels easy, but when it feels difficult. Because that's when the most important part of you is being forged. When your decision becomes the difference between staying stuck or stepping into something greater. As Tony Robbins often says, it's not the events of our lives that shape us, but our decisions about what those events mean. The meaning you assign to your experiences, and the decisions you make in response to those experiences, will determine who you become. You can't control every event that happens to you, but you can always control your decision on how to respond. Decide to show up even when it's uncomfortable. Decide to give your best even when you don't feel like it. Decide to take responsibility for your actions, even when it's easier to blame others. Those decisions, repeated day after day, will form the foundation of a new identity. One that is stronger, one that is more resilient, one that is more aligned with your highest potential. You are not stuck in your past. You are not limited by your past mistakes. You are not defined by your failures. You are defined by the decisions you make today, and the decisions you make every day. Moving forward, your decisions shape your identity, and your identity shapes your future. So ask yourself, what decisions are you making right now? Are they leading you to the person you want to become? Are they reinforcing your greatest potential? Every choice you make is a step in the direction of the person you will become. So choose wisely, choose intentionally, and choose relentlessly, because who you decide to be today is who you will become tomorrow. Would you like me to now expand Keynote 4, Build Rituals Not Excuses next? You said 4. ChatGPT said, here is the expanded version of Keynote 4, Build Rituals Not Excuses, written in a motivational tone, without headings or intonation, and approximately 700 plus words, including one impactful quote. We all have excuses. The truth is, everyone does. But what separates the ones who achieve greatness from the ones who never seem to get there isn't the number of excuses they have. It's the rituals they choose to build instead of those excuses. You see, rituals are not just habits. Rituals are non-negotiable commitments. They are the daily practices that you set for yourself and refuse to break, no matter how you feel or what obstacles arise. Rituals are the cornerstone of success, while excuses are the walls that keep you trapped. Excuses are the voice of your lower self, trying to convince you that you can't do something, or that now isn't the right time, or that it's just too hard. Excuses keep you stuck in a cycle of inaction. They soothe you in the short term, but they rob you of the long-term rewards you could have if you chose to take action instead. Excuses make it easy to justify why you can't do what you know you need to do. They make it easy to quit before you even start. But when you build rituals, you're committing to an identity of someone who doesn't back down, someone who does the work, no matter what, someone who refuses to let temporary discomfort, uncertainty, or lack of motivation stop them from moving forward. When you choose rituals over excuses, you become someone who doesn't need to be in the mood to work. You simply work because it's who you are.
You've conditioned yourself to rise above the fleeting reasons that could easily derail you. It's easy to fall into the trap of excuses. We all have them. I'm too tired. I'm too busy. I don't have enough time. I don't feel like it today. But what's the cost of letting those excuses dictate your life? It's the cost of wasted potential. It's the cost of dreams left unfulfilled. It's the cost of choosing short-term comfort over long-term growth. The most successful people in the world don't live by convenience. They live by rituals. They wake up early. They train their bodies. They invest in their minds. They follow a plan and commit to it, day in and day out. They don't wait for the perfect moment to act. They make the moment perfect by showing up and doing the work. Your rituals are what will carry you through the days when you don't feel like it. They are what will keep you focused, keep you disciplined, and keep you progressing when everything else in your mind tells you to stop. And the more consistent you are with your rituals, the more they become part of who you are. You don't even have to think about them anymore. They're just automatic. Take a moment to think about the rituals you've built in your life. Are they supporting your highest goals? Or are they reinforcing the old stories that keep you stuck? Maybe you've built a ritual of procrastination, a ritual of avoiding discomfort, a ritual of neglecting your goals. If that's true, it's time to shift. You can build a ritual of success just as easily as you can build a ritual of failure. It all starts with small intentional actions, deciding every day that you will prioritize your goals over your excuses. It starts with the decision that you are not at the mercy of your moods or your circumstances. You are the creator of your life. You are the one who determines what gets done and what gets pushed aside. This isn't about trying to be perfect. It's about being persistent. Every small ritual you build, whether it's waking up early, exercising, reading, meditating, or working on your craft, compounds over time. Those little things, done consistently, create extraordinary results. And when you build these rituals, they begin to build you. When you decide that you won't accept your excuses anymore, you create space for greatness. But that space only comes when you stop choosing comfort over commitment. When you stop choosing fear over action. It's in those moments of choice that you determine whether you're building your future or giving into your old habits. As the late Jim Rohn said, discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. Rituals are that bridge. They are the foundation that transforms goals into results. They are the unwavering commitments that allow you to take consistent action, regardless of how you feel. Rituals are what separate the dreamers from the doers. They are what turn potential into reality. And they are what make success inevitable. So ask yourself, what rituals are you building today? What small daily commitments can you make that will propel you toward the life you want? Every small ritual you build, every excuse you refuse to accept, brings you one step closer to your goals. And in the process, you become the person who doesn't just talk about success. You become the person who creates it. As you reflect on all that has been said, it's clear that the journey to greatness isn't built on occasional bursts of energy or moments of extreme motivation. It's built on self-discipline, daily habits, and the consistent, deliberate decisions you make in every area of your life. Self-discipline is not about perfection. It's not about being flawless or having all the answers. It's about showing up day in and day out, committed to your vision, even when the world feels uncertain, even when you're tired, and especially when the easier path beckons. Remember, it's the little decisions, the ones that seem insignificant in the moment, that compound over time to shape your future. Whether it's getting up early, pushing through the discomfort, choosing growth over comfort, or taking action when it's the last thing you want to do, those small moments define who you are becoming. The small things you do consistently, without needing validation, are the very things that will lead to your transformation. Consistency is the silent force behind every success story. It's the practice of committing to something long enough that you can't help but become great at it. It's the persistence to stay focused when the distractions are loud, and it's the resilience to keep going when the results aren't immediately visible. The best part, consistency doesn't require motivation. It requires a commitment to a process, a commitment to showing up regardless of how you feel. When you build rituals into your life, non-negotiable habits that align with your goals, you are setting yourself up for success, not by a flash of brilliance, but by steady, consistent effort over time. Every day that you follow through on your commitments, you reinforce your identity as someone who doesn't back down, someone who keeps their promises to themselves. And in doing so, you shape a future that's no longer determined by chance or external circumstances, but by your own actions and decisions. There will always be challenges. There will always be moments when excuses feel like they have the upper hand. But you are not defined by those moments. You are defined by what you do when you face them. Will you choose the easy route and give in to the temptation to quit? Or will you make the decision to continue pushing forward, knowing that every small step is taking you closer to your dreams? As you move forward, remember this: your future is not a result of random events or luck. It is shaped by the small, consistent actions you take every day. The results you are looking for are already in the decisions you are making now. So take responsibility for those decisions. Own your habits, own your discipline, and own your consistency. They will be your greatest allies on this journey to greatness. The truth is, success is not a one-time event. It is a collection of actions repeated consistently over time. Every decision you make builds your future, and every small act of discipline and consistency you practice today is creating the life you will experience tomorrow. The moral of this journey is clear. Success is not built on moments of intensity, but on daily consistent actions. It's not about the big things you do once in a while, but about the small things you commit to every single day. Your consistency will determine your results. Your self-discipline will determine your success. So choose to build the rituals and the habits that will shape your best future. Make the decision today to show up, to commit, and to be consistent in your actions. And your success will be inevitable.